In winter, when your deciduous trees are dormant and bare of all leaves, it's a pretty unmistakable sign that it's time to prune. And helpfully, when the trees are bare, it's easy to get a good look at the structure, which helps make decisions about how to shape your canopy. On the show, we often talk about pruning fruit trees. Here in the orchard, my aim is to keep the canopy low so that it's easy to pick the fruit. And I often will take out the central leader to create a bowl shape so there's lots of light and air movement. When it comes to pruning deciduous ornamental trees, it's an entirely different strategy. Usually we want the canopy to be high so that we can walk or sit beneath it. Today, I'm going to prune some trident maple trees in my car park area because I want to lift the canopy so we can park cars under their shade. But first, I'm going to show you why. This ornamental snow pear, Pyrus nivalis, is an example of an unpruned tree. It's also an example of what not to do. Now, I planted it a couple of years ago and I should have lifted the canopy, but I didn't. So as you can see, it's branched low down and put a lot of growth on. Now, I do need to lift the canopy, and when I cut those branches off, all that growth is wasted. I would have been better to raise the canopy when it was young and put more energy into developing a lovely big tree. Another example in my garden is this tree that's branching too low to walk under comfortably. It's a Pyrus Winter Glow, and it probably could have used a prune in its early years too. Next in the procession of my tree pruning failures is this one. It's another ornamental pear, Pyrus Edgewood. Now, a few years ago, I did lift the canopy to 1.4 metres, but that wasn't enough. I should have taken it up above head height, say to 2 metres, so there was more space to walk around underneath. It's time to get to the trees that need shaping today. I planted these 5 trident maples 2 years ago when they were already relatively tall. Now they're 2 or 3 metres, which is the perfect size for pruning. Not too old, not too young. It is possible to lift the canopy of a tree too early. When a tree is young and it's in a harsh spot like this, the lower limbs actually protect the trunk from sunburn. When the bark gets damaged by sunburn, it can be an injury that never heals and the tree can even die. But these trees are now large enough that the rest of the canopy will prevent that. They will eventually grow to be about 6 metres tall and will take up a lot of space. I want the area underneath to be usable, so I'm going to remove these lower limbs. Cut as close as you can to the collar. That's the shoulder between the branch and the trunk. If you cut in the right spot, the cut will heal over and you won't see a scar down the track. But if you leave a short stubby bit, that can actually die back and cause disease. Some branches can be cut with secateurs or loppers, but thicker ones will need a pruning saw. The car park area is a pretty harsh spot for these maples. The surface is crushed limestone, it faces north, and it's very hot in summer. Because they're so exposed here, I'm going to do this job over 2 years. I'll cut the lower branches up to about 1 metre high today, and then go up to 2 metres high next winter. If these trees were growing in a more sheltered position, then I'd just do the lot. To avoid stressing the trees, the general rule is never to remove more than 1/3 of the tree at once. These are looking good. I'm not going to take any more off today. In spring, the tree's going to direct its stored energy up into growth in the higher part of the canopy, and eventually we'll have this beautifully shaded area where we'll be able to walk around underneath and park cars. We prune deciduous trees in different ways for different reasons. So before you get out your secateurs, think about what you need from your tree and do some research.